made the right call, which is pause and let's wait. And if things are probably going to slow down, but they won't get into recessionary territory. And I think their pausing and extended pause at current levels will probably end up being the right decision.
Seema, ultimately, I sense from you that you believe all roads lead to an equity market that's lower from here, regardless of whether this Fed needs to cut on bad news or hold because the data's good.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's a fairly nuanced position at the moment. You know, we don't have an imminent recession. We have a recession which is a little bit further down the road. We have a market, an economy which looks very strong. Inflation is sticky. It's still elevated. It's coming down. Now, with the Fed, it seems likely to have paused, but actually I wouldn't take off another 25 basis point off the table. I think it would be a policy error. But given how data dependent they are, and given the strength of this labour market data today, I think there is still a possibility that there will be one more hike come June, or maybe a little bit later down the line in a couple of months. Either way, both of those situations don't look very promising for equity markets.
Krishna, you talk about the pain trade being higher. Can you tell me, is that a tactical call? Over what time horizon are you thinking about that call?
Oh, well, 100%. And it is more a reflection of the pessimism in the market, far more than any economic driver. I think at the core level, we are in a range-bound market. And if we get to 4,500 or something close to that, 4,500 is a number that I pulled out of the air. But if we get there, we probably won't stay there for too long.
Seema Shah, Krishna Mamani, they're going to be sticking with us. Looking at an equity market right now on the S&P 500, there's negative 0.5%. Let's get you some movers. We can do that with Abby. Morning, Abby.
Good morning, John. And let's take a look at some shares that are popping sharply higher. And one of them is Palantir. The data analysis company has highlighted unprecedented demand for its AI tools. They also beat, but they're providing limited visibility into the guidance. So some analysts are actually a little bit wary there. Novavax, the fiscal year forecast is better than estimated. They've unveiled some positive vaccine data in addition. They've also talked about cutting 25% of their workforce. Those shares soaring up 27%. PayPal Holdings to the other side down 7.3%. Their first quarter beat, but the second quarter guide is lackluster, especially operating margins. And then finally, speaking of lackluster, Lucid Group, their first quarter revenue numbers missed. Their guide to the low end of the production plan highlights a sluggish start of the year. That stock is also down by about 10%, John.
Abby, thank you. Coming up on this program, the regionals back under pressure.
Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's daily live stream of the market open. Today is currently May 9th as we kick off the trading session one day ahead of the CPI. What we're going to be looking at here is a few earnings plays, and then we're also going to be touching base on some of the macro drivers. The dollar surging up 0.4% today. If you look what's transpiring in the dollar, you're at a big resistance level. And if the dollar can get a close above this 101.77 on an hourly chart basis, you're going to be looking like that's going to be your new support level to build a base off of. So the dollar is looking very strong today. Again, we've touched base on this with our members. We touched base on it in our live stream yesterday regarding the fact that why is the dollar moving? Is it potentially because the CPI is going to come in hot tomorrow? Perhaps. Maybe there's a little bit of a Euro-Asian crisis that is brewing and you're seeing money flow out of Europe and Asia into the dollar. There's a variety of different reasons as to why the dollar could be moving. But typically, it's definitely what we've seen in the last year or two is it's been moving due to the inflationary side of the market. So the markets are under pressure right now because the dollar is up. If you take a look at gold, gold isn't really responding to the downside. It's still actually holding on to positive gains, up 0.21%. Now, one of the reasons why gold is holding on to positive gains right now, I suspect if you look at the KRE is gapping lower today. You have regional banks like Pac West continuing to fall down about 10% in the pre-market. So not all sunshines and rainbows out here. Lots of fear still in the banking sector, regional banking sector, and we'll just have to continue to monitor that as a whole. But right now the dollar is pumping pretty significantly here, and it's certainly interesting to watch. Crypto's holding up. Natural gas is getting a beautiful bid off of the lows, or breaking out, sorry, I shouldn't say off the lows, but natural gas is getting a nice bid. You are coming up into some resistance here. You see the daily 50 moving average, this purple moving average. I believe you can get through that. One of the reasons why is if you look at this nice little consolidation pattern, this is a beautiful consolidation pattern which you just broke out of. Now you are going to need to consolidate, build a little bit of a flag pattern, but I think we can get one more little push up off the open into this resistance trend line before we start to create another sideways flag pattern like this. Again, if there's fear in the market and weakness in oil, and typically when the dollar is surging, you also get a move in natural gas. So look at the surge in natural gas, look at the surge in the dollar. They have been moving in tandem together, and it's certainly fascinating to watch. Let's take a quick peek at oil. WTI crude is currently just slightly negative on the session. All right, let's jump over to some earnings now because there's a lot of plays that are in potential on the long and short side. So I did have a calculated level on PayPal yesterday, which was all the way down here, the aggressive longs, aggressive shorts. Those levels have been adjusted. So I'm now going to just adjust those levels and go over some of the trade setups. So the first level I have on PayPal, it's a little more aggressive, 67.93. So 67.93. That's the first, and this is for a long trade on PayPal. They did report earnings. And then the more conservative level is basically just this double bottom, around 66.53. Now, some of the math does show if it has a bigger deviation to the downside that you could actually pierce this potential level, this double bottom zone. I'm not thinking it's going to be the base case. I think these levels will be technically sound for the day trade, but definitely be aware that we could potentially pierce the double bottoms later on in the session, especially if the markets keep continuing lower. And this is the importance of day trading, is that you have to know that these levels are really good for that 10:30, 11, 12 o'clock time frame. And then if you get a little more time after that, these levels aren't as solid as they once was. You're just looking for a small scalpable bounce. We're also looking at Skyworks SWKS for a long trade. So keep Skyworks on the radar. I believe I have some levels worked out here. Those were my yesterday's levels. Let me just see if they match up. So I'm actually going to slightly adjust the Skyworks levels. The standard, three standard deviation number is 88.99. 88.99. So I'm just going to adjust this. 88.99. That is the new level. Very, very close. And then a little bit more than a 3 standard deviation. Is at 87.94. So I'm going to wait for those levels because I think we can get down there. I really do. Skyworks is interesting because what's interesting about what we've been seeing, you've seen it in Qualcomm, you've seen it in CRUS, you've seen it in now Skyworks. All of these three semiconductor companies are major suppliers for Apple, and they have just been getting decimated, missing on earnings, guiding down, not giving good guidance, and yet Apple is still continuing to be strong. So there's a couple reasons for that. Either Apple's cooking the books and people are just piling into some overbought tech names because they have these cash flow moats that are safe. But when you look at the suppliers as a whole, it's very rare to see a company continue to try to do well when all of their suppliers are really lagging this overall market. So just pay attention to that. You can see that we have a little bit of a downsloping parallel channel. This is going to be the level, basically a retrace back to this breakout trend line over here. And you can see that our level's right around these two areas. So wait for those. That's what I'm doing. I'm waiting for those levels on a long trade on Skyworks. We also have PLTR, Palantir, gapping up tremendously well over here. I'm going to have to readjust my short levels because these ones were a little bit out of whack from yesterday. The first level I have is 980. That's a 2 standard deviation away from the mean. So 980, which is all the way up there. That's the more aggressive level. You are coming up to this gap fill over here, so there is some resistance. But I think Palantir can really squeeze a little bit higher. And then the more conservative level is 1092. 10.92. So you can see it's quite a big difference in terms of resistance. But that's the levels I like. You also have this downsloping trend line. That should be a pretty decent resistance. So maybe we get a pierce through that into our little level there. That's kind of the level that I'm waiting for in Palantir. Maybe even this double top zone around a pierce of 10 bucks. Okay, so let's just keep aware of those tickers that I mentioned. I'm just going to run a couple other quick calculations here. We also have SEAT gapping up, SHLS, AMCX, YMAB, HNRG, pretty big ones. FSR is gapping lower. So Fisker, we may have a play on this on the long side. So Fisker's trading at 564. We couldn't play Fisker at this gap fill, 490. But we really don't want to see any consolidation. We want to see a straight flush into that level. Lucid's down 10.5%. DDD, so 3D Systems. The only area I like DDD is at the double bottom, but we have to be mindful that this one sometimes doesn't get over 1 million shares, so we have to watch that share count very closely in the early AM session. So really that's going to sum up the plays. Shopify's gapping lower, mRNA's another weak one today. So I'm just going to pop up these levels on my screens here so we have some decent levels to trade against. But probably SWKS is looking like my more favorited trade. And then we'll get to see how the rest of the market opens. So it should be an interesting day because you have the dollar strong, you have some earnings that are pulling the market down. Google did announce an AI new AI search engine, I believe, that they're working on. So they're actually holding up relatively well in comparison to the market. So that's interesting to note. MKC is holding up today. Crypto's hanging in there today as well. Gold is catching a small bit off the lows as the dollar softens. Natural gas is pulling in from the highs. The Qs will be gapping down. In terms of a buyable level on the Qs, we do have support around, just give me 1 second. So the buyable level on the Qs, if we get a straight flush into the 320 area, or pierce of maybe 320, that looks like a decent area. You got quite a bit of support there, retrace back to the breakout zone, just for a quick day trade scalp. But what I am noticing here on the Qs, you kind of are triggering, nope, never mind, I apologize. That pattern is negated. The right shoulder's higher, too high for head and shoulders. But it looks very close. Maybe the spiders have one. Let's take a look. So yeah, the spiders actually have on watch for a head and shoulders trigger today. We just have to watch that, because if that gets triggered, then there is a bit of downside that could commence in this market. So I like SWKS for a long trade, and we'll just pay attention to see how the rest of the market opens. So we're set to open here in 2 minutes. We'll see how the rest of the market opens, but so far we are gapping lower. So just be wary of that. Just be wary that we are trending lower. Alright, so we're set to open here in a couple minutes. Dollar's taking a short-term breather. The 2-year yield's up here. AMD just turned positive. Apple had a small little bid. Again, will people move defensively ahead of CPI? That's the big question for the market. I think there's a good chance that we will see some defensive money rotation. All right, markets are open, guys. Markets are open. I'm looking at 67.50 on PayPal if we flush down there. 67.50. Skyworks is catching a bid. The spiders are still nearing the lows of the session. But big bounce on Skyworks here. Let's see if we get any other sort of interesting action here. Spiders are still at the lows. Skyworks big bounce. PYPL is coming into play. You have Palantir still up 16%, nothing to do yet. Tesla's down 1.9. Apple's down, still Nvidia's down, Amazon's down. Palantir's reversing from the highs, so nothing to do there. KRE still very weak. The Q's are trying to catch a bid here, so Nvidia's catching a buy the dip bid. And PayPal's still coming down though. I do like the 67.90, but 67.50 is even better. Spiders at the lows. Spiders are at the lows. You have Tyson Foods that reported earnings yesterday making new lows. So it's too bad Skyworks caught a pretty big bounce there. But PayPal's still valid. Keep PYPL on your radar. Spiders are still trickling lower here. Alright, PayPal's coming into play, guys. Keep PYPL on your radar for a long trade. I'm waiting a little bit. Waiting a little bit more on PayPal. But you are into some pretty decent technical support. 67.55, I like that. Even if we can see how we're getting a bounce at that mathematical number, that is the 2 standard deviation move, this dotted line. Sorry, let me just mute my screens here, guys. I apologize. PayPal's coming down some more, guys. Definitely keep PYPL on the radar for a long trade. This one has a tendency to overshoot, so definitely go a little bit lighter on your share size. Tesla's trying to recover and push up a little bit here. Nvidia's trying to bounce, but Apple's still weak. Skyworks is coming back down now. PayPal's catching a small bounce here. That's too bad. It's a pretty decent bounce there. That was a really decent bounce. So now I have to wait till the 67.55 level here. Because we got to bounce off that level, I'm waiting to the 67.55 and then double bottom. AMD's holding up fairly well. Home builders, again, go figure, are the strongest stocks in the market. Even TSN looks decent. Nvidia's seeing a heavy sell side pressure there. Nvidia's at the lows of the session. Google's trying to break out, pushing up to the high of the day. I'm going to keep an eye on Google for maybe a long pattern because it does have relative strength. It does have a great deal of relative strength. PayPal's still valid. Nvidia's coming back down. Skyworks is still holding up. Big reversal on PLTR. Looking at CVS maybe for a long, but that one's catching a bit off the lows. Eli Lilly, if it pushed up to 441, I would consider a short up there. They're holding up because of their new weight loss drug. Potential weight loss drug, I should say. So you can see PayPal now actually pierced and hit that level to a T and getting a bounce. I did not take it, but that level was there ready. It's still valid if it goes lower. Spiders are still under a little bit of pressure, and the spiders did trigger a head and shoulders pattern here. So it hasn't confirmed and closed, but it is on watch for this bearish pattern. So you can see we actually gapped over the neckline, left shoulder head. Let's take a check to see what the downside target. So take a look at that. So the downside takes us all the way down to about this 408.34. So let's be mindful that that could come down there today. That's absolutely valid today. So let's be very, very mindful of that. PayPal's still coming down. Let's take a look at Google. Google's still holding up pretty well. Nvidia had a big bounce. Apple's still near the lows of the session. Microsoft's holding up well though. Honestly, Tyson Foods looks a little interesting. A little interesting down here. But no, I'm going to hold off on that. That's spiders are still under a little bit of pressure here. Dollar's putting in some bullish consolidation. You have Apple down, Plug Power. Let's take a look at Plug. Actually, we'll keep PayPal up here because it is coming down. Still interested in a long play on PYPL here. I am interested. Spider volume's not that heavy. Palantir has given up a lot of its gains. Ooh, look at Novavax, NVAX. I'll watch PayPal on my other screen here, just to be safe. But let me see if I have a level on NVAX. Ooh, this is a tricky one because this one's actually a very bullish chart setup now. You've broken out of this inverse, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Oof, this one's a dangerous to get in front of. Now, there is a day trade short. Let me just go to a larger term time frame. Yikes, that's a little scary there. That's quite a little scary because this is look at this pattern on NVAX. That's a beautiful breakout. That is a stunning breakout on NVAX. I wouldn't chase it. I would wait for a consolidation pattern to go long off of this. But keep this one on your radar now for a long trade moving forward, because that does show there is more upside. Now, if this was to somehow catch a huge bid, let me just do a fib retrace from this major pivot. You're into this 236 retrace. Yeah, honestly, I'm going to stay away from this. I don't really see a short unless it got up to about this 1240 pivot over here. So you had your big move up, consolidation, bounce, break down, new lows. So you are into decent resistance here, but I would have to play conservatively and wait a little bit more. All right, PayPal's coming into play, guys. PYPL, keep that on your radar because I'm about to go long. 67.50 or lower, and then the double bottom. Aggressive traders take the first level. Conservative traders take the second level. It's actually at 67.55. There's a gap. Skyworks still is holding up. AMD's starting to roll over a little bit. Nvidia is now down on the session pretty nicely, but trying to bounce off the lows. It's down 1.42%. Alright guys, PayPal's coming into play here. PayPal is coming into play. But the spiders are so weak, so it's not going to help us. Alright guys, I'm long PayPal here. 67.55, 67.55. It's a 1/6 position. I did say go lighter. It's a 1/6 position. You can see there's buyers trying to defend that. Next ad level is 67.05, basically 50 cents lower, and then the double bottom. So we'll manage that. PayPal's now down 10.5% on the session. Google's soaring up 1.76. Wow, Google's a beast today. Google, good googly moogly. PayPal's still coming down a little bit more here. Nvidia's still weak. Tyson Foods is still weak. In terms of what we're looking for on PayPal, I think we can get a bounce back up to about this 67, maybe even 68. I mean, probably could get a 68-cent bounce on PayPal if the market firms up. Don't know if I'll hold that long, but we'll see. Alright, my game plan, what I'm going to do is if we get a bounce above this white trend line around 67.93, I'm going to move a stop loss to that level in the money stop loss. But let's just see, big bounce coming on the spiders, major softening on the dollar. So XOM's getting a big bounce. Oil's trying to hold up and move to the upside. PayPal's coming lower now. Spiders are now seeing some more selling. Meta's weak today. Apple's trending lower. Microsoft's holding up. Wow, that Skyworks, jeez, that Skyworks just had a friggin' bounce and a half. My oh my. What a bounce. Hopefully PayPal gets something like that. That would be stunning. It's probably unlikely, but you never know. You never know. Spiders are still trying to hold up here, but seeing more sell side pressure. Nvidia is trickling lower. McDonald's is, or Coca-Cola is under pressure as well. Novavax is up 39% now. Jeepers. Big move. Intel's down, Nvidia's down. So semis are definitely getting hit on the back of that Skyworks earnings report. But it's interesting, Skyworks has had a phenomenal bounce. Even Shopify is weak today. Google's still surging pretty well here. China stocks gap down, trying to make a move off of the lows. Qs are catching a small bounce. Here comes the bounce in PayPal, guys. Hopefully we can get a push up. Hopefully we can get a push up here. PayPal small bounce, but still showing incredible weakness. KRE is trickling lower. Wow, KRE is just looking exceptionally weak here, guys. There's actually maybe a short on the regionals here. I'm looking at ahead of CPI. If CPI comes in hot, regionals are going to get effed up. They really are. PayPal, nice bounce. I'm going to look on it for a short on the regionals, but I'm just waiting here. I do think that they can actually trend lower today. Alright, PayPal's getting a big bounce here, guys. We have our two targets. Moving a stop to in the money if we get above the 67.93 white line. Upside target is actually 68.23 though. Okay. Nice little 10-minute bottoming tail forming. Microsoft is a beast today. Jeez. It's soaring and roaring. It is soaring and roaring. Alright, guys. We're almost there. We're in the money pretty nicely on PayPal. I think we can get more though. Come on. Give us a little bit more, PayPal. Are we being too greedy? Spiders are coming down. Spiders are coming down. We're in the money about 24 cents on PayPal. Alright, guys, here we go. I do not have a stop loss yet. I want to see it get above that level. Alright, I'm going to put a stop loss at 67.63. 67.63, just so that we protect the trade. Just in case these markets start breaking down again. I don't want PayPal to go against us now that we are in the money. So 67.63. Basically, it's a 9-cent in the money stop loss. Because I'm seeing Apple break down here. So if Apple starts breaking down more, it's going to weigh in on this market. All right, I'm going to move my stop loss up a little bit more to 67.75. 67.75, locking in 20-cent gain. Spiders are acting a little weaker now, still trying to come down. Apple's pretty much at the lows. Alright guys, I just got stopped out of PayPal for a 20-cent gain, 67.75. Boom, boom. I only had 300 shares there, so it's a small little win, but it's a win nonetheless. It's a win nonetheless. If Let's look at some of these other names. Holy, look at these moves. Look at these moves. Jeepers, SWKS. Imagine this thing goes positive. That would be something else. That would be something else. PYPL, look at that, right back down to the lows. Alright guys, I'm interested in playing PayPal again. I want to see it take out these lows here. So that was a fantastic little sell, guys. Nice job protecting it. See, it's all about managing risk, protecting the trades. I'm seeing the spiders come down now. Guys, I'm actually considering shorting PayPal here, but let's see. I think it might come back down a little bit. Nvidia is getting wrecked. I'm thinking of shorting PayPal here. I think it's going to go a little bit lower based off of this heavy sell reversal, and we just use a stop loss above the lows. So PayPal is likely going to trickle low if tech continues to weaken. I'm hoping for one more little pop up on PayPal, and then we can short it. KRE is trickling lower here. Spiders are trying to hold up, catching a little minor bounce. Take a look at this KRE getting absolutely pummeled today. I think it looks like we're going to go to gap fill. I want to short KRE as well, but I want to see it get a little bit of a bounce first. So keep that on your radar. I'm watching on my other screens. Nvidia is getting pummeled today. Nvidia is certainly getting pummeled. Holy Skyworks. What a bounce. Look at this thing. I'm actually I'm going to contemplate shorting it here. If we can get above 101, I'm going to short Skyworks. 101, I'm going to short Skyworks here. Let's see. So keep that on watch. Keep that on watch. PayPal's putting in some more potential bearish consolidation. Let's see if we get a move up. I'm still looking at PayPal for a short now as well. I think it's maybe going to go lower to test that double bottom. Bitcoin's starting to break down. Bitcoin is starting to break down as well. That's going to be negative for PayPal. They do have crypto exposure, so if Bitcoin starts breaking down along with PayPal, I'm going to short PayPal here. 67.63, 67.63 short. It's a 1/6 position, so I have 300 shares again. 67.63. I will add to the position basically up here on the short side. So markets are catching a small little bounce here. Nvidia is still weak. Crypto's still under pressure. But short at 67.63. Let's see if we can get a little move lower. My stop loss on this is basically a close above this wick high. A close above this initial wick. So we add there, and then that's our final add, and then if we get stopped out on a 5-minute close above that wick, that's the loss. Dollar's softening though. That SWKS never quite hit the 101 level. Never quite hit that 101 level. And you can see PayPal's now starting to come down a little bit more. Nvidia getting pummeled. Take a look at Nvidia chart today. That's getting decimated. That's good to see. Really good to see. PayPal's starting to push up a little bit more now. KRE's catching a small little minor bounce. Nvidia is still trickling lower. So markets are getting a bounce here. The S&P is trying to bounce. The Qs are still trying to bounce as well, but weak. Apple's getting a bounce. Nvidia's trickling lower. Natural gas has softened just a little bit. KRE is getting a bounce. If KRE pushed back up to 37.11, we could short it. 37.11. PayPal's getting a bounce here. Home builders still surging. Jeez. Really wild. Nvidia, big bounce. Steel stocks are holding in there. ALB, Albemarle Marley, we sold that for a nice little gain. Looking at potentially Moderna for a little bit of a short trade, but it needs to go higher. PayPal's getting a big bid. This is the market catching a nice little bid here. Nvidia, big surge. Alright, I'm going to add to PayPal at 67.93. It's not there yet. Not there yet. Alright, I just added to PayPal here, 67.95. 67.95. Spiders are getting a big push here. They are coming up into some near-term resistance though. Still watching KRE on the short side. So average on PayPal here is 67.79, 67.79. But we're on the verge of stopping out here in a minute and 29 seconds if it gets a close above that wick. Nvidia, big bounce. So the market as a whole is getting a big, big lift. Big, big lift. We're back inside that wick. So as of now, it's going to come down to 1 minute. 1 minute will decide our fate on PayPal. Nvidia's having a big bounce off of the lows. A nice 10-minute bottoming tail on Nvidia. KRE's still weak. You're seeing healthcare holding up pretty well today. 38 seconds, we stop out of PayPal if it closes above that wick. It's looking like it could. But there's still a lot of selling going on in PayPal. I can certainly see that. Liquidations, selling, so on and so forth. Alright, looks like we may live to fight another 5-minute candle. Look at this little bit of a sell side program coming in. PayPal. It's got 3 seconds to get above that or else we're on to the next 5 minute. Alright, we live to fight another 5 minutes on PayPal. We're flat on the trade. We are flat on the trade right now. It's trying to push up. Spiders are attacking that gap fill now. They are getting a pretty big bid higher. They're now hitting the neckline of the head and shoulders pattern. So take a look at this. You're targeting that head and shoulders. PayPal, big little candle coming down now. Let's see that SWKS. Wow, almost hit our 101 level. It hit 100.88, so 12 cents away. Look at that big reversal. That's okay though. We're short PayPal. Alright guys, I may pull a short here on KRE. I'm looking to short KRE here. Hopefully we get one more little bit up. All right, I'm going to short carry 36.84, short KRE, 1/6 position. 36.84. And then I will add to KRE at 37. All right. Let's flip back to PayPal. PayPal's still hanging in there, but coming down. Target on KRE, it's already down 2%, but we're looking for a trend continuation to the downside. I think we could probably get 25, it's a little aggressive, 20 cents maybe on KRE. Let's see if we get some continuation on the trend down. So we're just looking for some trend days. PayPal coming back down. Spiders are coming down. All right, I'm moving a stop loss on PayPal, 15 cents in the money. 15 cents in the money. Even KRE is now coming back down. I'm going to move my stop loss now to 67.59. My stop loss is this white line, 67.59. So we're going to bank 20 cents on the trade no matter what. And we are coming back down some more. Here comes PayPal. Look at this. Even KRE, big flush. Look at this. Oh my goodness, we hit target. We're hitting target. All right, I'm moving a stop loss to 36.71. 36.71 stop loss. So we bank some profits on KRE. PYPL. Look at this. Still coming down. Spiders are looking very, very weak, guys. All right, I'm covering KRE here at 36.65. Cover KRE 36.65. That's a 21 cent gain. So it's 400 shares times 21 cents. Let's manage PayPal. PayPal's coming down as well. I'm going to move my stop loss up now to 67.50. So we're going to be banking 29 cents times 600 shares. We may get stopped out here. It's very, very close. Nvidia's coming down. Spiders are catching a bid here. KRE, look at that bounce on KRE. Good exit right there. Phenomenal. That's talk about not being greedy. We covered on that red line. Wonderful cover. And there's a chance we can short it again. But let's just watch PayPal here. Stop loss is at 67.50, guys. Stop loss is at 67.50. I am interested in shorting KRE if we get another pop-up. PayPal's still acting weak. Let's see if we get some more downside. The dollar's trying to pop. We're 4 cents away from being stopped out on PYPL. But we're in the money. We're protecting the trade. Alright, I just got stopped out. 67.50 on PayPal. That's a beautiful little 29 cents times 600 shares. That is 3 for 3 today in the live day trade room. It's only 10:06. I'm going to write down my things here. Just bear with me. Stopped out at 67.50. 0.29 times 600 shares. That's a 174 on PayPal. Nice little win. 174 on the first round. 60 on the second round. 234. KRE was 21 cents times 400. That was 84. There we go. A few $100 in our pocket. About 350 today in 1 hour, in about a half an hour of trading. All right, now we're going to look for some more trend to the downside. So PayPal's obviously weak. KRE's still weak. But the next level I have on KRE is basically, let's just be patient here. Let's just be patient. It's not looking, whoa, look at that dump on PayPal. Wow. Should have been holding through that dump. New lows would have doubled our profit there. Wow, look at PayPal go. All right, we may have a long on PayPal. The next level I like on PayPal is double bottom, 66.44. So we played PayPal on the long side. We played PayPal on the short side twice. KRE's getting hit pretty hard. Let's keep an eye on the spiders here. Spiders got rejected off that neckline. So now I'm actually going to look to play the spiders on the short side. If we take out this green pivot here, we can play it on the short side. The SPY. Alright, spiders are taking. Let's wait for a little bounce if we get one, and then we can play a trend to the downside on the SPY. Let's do a quick check of PayPal. How's this SWKS doing? That's still holding up pretty well. Looking at around 411.25 on the short on the SPY. 411.25 is for a starting short. I'm not short yet. Spiders are coming lower. We may not even get that short yet. The Russell's exceptionally weak. Ooh, actually the Russell looks interesting for a short here. It's breaking this pivot. This is actually the better short. The Russell is showing exceptional relative weakness. IWM, I'm looking at that now for a short. Hopefully we can push up to 172.40, give or take. Hopefully we can get up there. Alright, I'm going to short the Russell here, 172.34, 172.34, short the IWM. It's a 1/5 position. I have 100 shares, 172.34. I'll add to the position at 172.64. Spiders are trying to catch a small bounce here, but we'll see if this is a trend day to the downside. KRE seeing a little more weakness. That should put pressure on the IWM. Apple seeing some more selling. So is the Russell, so is Nvidia. Wow, that Tyson Foods just keeps bleeding. Bleeding. The dollar's trying to get a bounce. Nvidia's seeing more weakness. PayPal's catching a small bid. I'm interested in a long on PayPal, but it needs to go a little bit lower. 66.44 is the level. You can see it hit that next support level. And it is getting a bounce. Look at this IWM, guys. That's a nice little break. If we break this last pivot, it's certainly going to be in trouble. And I mean, we could have a 50-cent gain in this. I mean, nothing's easy. Nothing is easy. But you do have a nasty little gap all the way to the downside that could come to fruition if these markets really get into trouble. And I'm starting to see even the S&P weaken drastically here. Skyworks looks like a nice little short here. Look at the spiders. Dollar's trying to get a bid. Nat gas is now rolling over. Nat gas has actually gone negative. Tesla just made a new low. Nvidia's testing the lows. Ooh, big bounce on the Russell. Big bounce on the Russell. Nvidia is coming down. The Qs are also starting to come down a little bit more. Now the Russell's showing a little bit more relative strength and the Qs are seeing more weakness. That's a little interesting. KRE's bouncing up. So we're indirectly shorting kind of the KRE again through the Russell. So it's almost back to that level where we started our short. Big bounce. So I'm going to add actually around this pivot 172.65. I'll add to the short. Bitcoin's actually very weak right now. Nvidia is seeing some downside now, making new or testing the lows. IWM is pushing up a little bit more. KRE is pushing up. Nat gas just got wrecked. Negative on the session. Still looking at PayPal for a long trade. Apple's at the lows. Russell's getting a push, so the Russell's now seeing some strength as opposed to the Nasdaq and Spiders seeing weakness. So small caps are seeing some capital rotation. Wow, look at this NVAX. Let me just pull up this NVAX here. There might be a short level. Now it's up 50-something%. That's incredible. Let me just NVAX. NVAX is so small to short. We'll just stay away from it for now. Spiders still look weak. Russell's trying to push up here. So we're slightly out of the money on the Russell short, but that's okay. That is okay for now. All right, I just added to Russell at 172.65. 172.65. Another 100 shares there. So it now brings the average up to 172.46. I'll do one more add at this pivot high of 172.99. And if we get a close above this red bar on a 5-minute basis, we stop out of the trade. PYPL is starting to trickle lower, so definitely keep PayPal on watch. Definitely keep PayPal on watch. The 66.44, that's the double bottom on PayPal. But the Russell's acting strong right now. Wow, AMD had a huge buy the dip come in. Let's take a look at Boeing. Boeing's got a nice flag pattern. The CEO is actually on air on CNBC, so it's likely going to try to break out of this flag pattern. It's a nice little breakout. Russell's trying to push up some more. Boeing looks intriguing for a long, but it's always risky chasing. You could play Boeing on the long side here and just use this trend line as a stop loss. If you get a close back below, you stop out of the trade. But it is looking interesting. It is looking interesting. I'm not personally playing it. I don't like chasing off of a gap up. But nonetheless, this looks bullish, this little pattern. I would say you need more consolidation after 3% gap up. But nevertheless, Boeing's an interesting play. The Russell's holding up, only down 0.77% now. The Qs are pretty much near the lows of the session. So now you have Microsoft starting to weaken. And Meta. Geez, that KB Homes, the ITB, the Lennar, the home builders are just absolute crazy powerful stocks. Even Google's pulled off the highs. So what I'm observing is some of the stocks that were relatively strong, like Google, are seeing some downside now. And it is looking likely that the trend day is to the downside. Even natural gas has rolled over substantially. KRE looks interesting. This is why the Russell's getting such a big bounce, is because the KRE is getting a nice bounce. The Russell's still hanging in there. The IWM's getting a bid here of a 2/6 or 2/5 position. Excuse me. PayPal's still trickling lower, guys, so lots of selling occurring in PayPal. There is lots of selling occurring in PayPal. Apple's still negative. Tesla's down 1.9. PayPal's down 11.3. Palantir's up 20. AMD's green. Plug Power's down 12. Let's take a look at Plug here. Plug Power has a 10-minute bottoming tail retrace to play against. This is looking kind of interesting. But I like the, on plug power, I like the 772 level, or even 770. If we were to flush down into that level, I would go long PLUG. Russell's pushing up. Qs are kind of lagging. If plug was to push up to, or push down, sorry, to 770, that's a long trade. So keep PLUG on your radar. And that's a monthly time frame pattern. Spiders are seeing some more down ticking. Oil's now under pressure as well. Let's take a look at that Boeing chart again, see if it actually broke out. So Boeing's trying. Boeing's really trying. If you got meaningful consolidation in this this green bar range, you could play it higher. You know, there is a chance that it, so you need to clear that pivot to attack that pivot zone high. Interesting. Interesting. I'll watch it on my other screens just in case there's an opportunity on Boeing. PayPal's still acting weak, but trying to get a bid off of the lows. Dollar's trying to catch a bid. Oil's seeing some sell side pressure now. It's now approaching 1023. I'll give you the parameters of this trade. Again, I'll add up here at 173 or 172.99. And basically, if we get a 5-minute close above this red bar, I'm stopping out. You could give it a little bit more wiggle room and use this reversal candle as your stop out. A 5-minute close above this 173.12. But I'm going to use this one. 5-minute close above this red bar, and I stop out of the IWM for a loss. But I will add up there if it gets there. Apple's still trickling lower, down 0.64%. PacWest has had a nice bounce. It was down 10% at one point. Now it's only down 4.9. Nvidia's down 1.8. Ford's down 1.5. Google's up 1.4. Henvax is up 48. Palantir's up 21.8. Big reversal coming in the IWM here. Wow, look at this move on Palantir. If we got all green candles into this 980 level, we can short Palantir. We can short Palantir. So we'll keep watching that on. Nvidia's making some new lows here, or testing the lows. So the Qs are really, really lagging. The Qs are actually a potential short as well. The Qs are a potential short. You're putting in some bearish consolidation to move lower. spiders getting a big bid here. So get ready to add to the IWM short, but be prepared that we could stop out for a small loss here. KRE with the big bid, so regionals are leading that Russell higher, and you have tech lagging. So that's interesting. Now you have the Russell leading today, well, just intraday right now, and you have the Qs lagging. Just want to see if the Qs triggered any topping formation. I mean, the only level I see, there's no real head and shoulders on the Qs, but you do have that resistance trend line. Oops, QQQ. All right, I just added at 173 short the IWM, 173. So it brings the average up to 172.65. 172.65. But we are on watch now for a stop out. So if we get a close in the next minute and a half above this red bar, I will be stopping out for a loss. Look at Nvidia making new lows, weighing this market down now. Look at that. So the Qs are a short. Qs are a short here. I'm just going to ride the Russell, but Qs are a short here. This is a trending indice with Nvidia weakening, Tesla. I'm seeing Microsoft now fall. Qs are a short here, guys. Qs are an absolute short, riding it down to this pivot over here. And then you use your stop loss above this red bar, this 322.25. But I'm just going to hang in there with the IWM for now. I do have a lot of QQQ exposure on the short side via swings. Buddy? So the Russell's pulling in. The Russell is pulling in from the highs. Bitcoin is trading at 27.4. Approaching 10:30 time frame, so I've given you the parameters. I'm looking for about 25 to 50 cents on this trade. Basically 50 cents on this trade puts you back down to about the double bottom zone here. And then again, I'm stopping. I'm using a 5-minute close above this red bar. Being diligent. 5-minute close above this red bar, and we stop out of the trade for a small loss. I'm not going to add any more to this position. I do think we're going to head down, even if it stops us out for a loss. I think, you know, there's a chance that we still see the markets roll over just with the weakness in tech I'm seeing today. The dollar has softened, which is providing a little bit of respite for the market, but the spiders and the Qs are really struggling at these levels. So since it's 10:30, I am going to call this stream to an end. Again, 5-minute close. We will know in 3 minutes and 50 seconds our fate on this trade. As of now, if we close here, we stop out. But we will see. We still have 3 minutes left to fight another day. Okay? So we'll see what happens here on the Russell. On that note, I'm going to bid you farewell. Congrats on the 3 for 3. We're riding the 4th short into the 10:30 time frame, and hopefully it plays out to the downside and we keep trending lower. It is looking likely. I'm seeing regionals break down a little bit more now. Spiders are at resistance. Qs are struggling with Nvidia weakening. So there is a likely trend day to the downside. And again, it makes sense with CPI tomorrow that people liquidate longs that have gone up substantially, profit taking. And yeah, we'll just have to see how the day finishes. Thank you all for tuning in. Congrats on the trades, and we'll see you tomorrow.